Welcome to another evening with the Lisa Baxter Show. So sit up, sit down, come on in because I'm about to tell you some stuff. Maybe you heard it, maybe you didn't. Well, tune in anyway. Okay? Now, this is the Lisa Baxter Show. Like I always tell you, this is the Lisa Baxter Show. Giving you the 411 in the kidney world. And you say, what does that mean? This show is highlighting stuff about kidney disease, kidney awareness, kidney education, and we want you to know something about it so you can maybe dodge a bullet if you have kidney disease or if you're on dialysis to give you encouragement to live this thing because it's livable. I've done it for 12 years myself on dialysis, 12 long years, but I did it. Thank God I was able to do it and to get a transplant. So we're here to encourage you. We're here to shed some light on some stuff, and we're here to just help you through this situation. Maybe it's you, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's somebody you know. And sometimes people have these diseases or sicknesses and don't know they have it. So always get checked out and always find out. So that's just my little tidbit for tonight. But I am going to introduce my guest to you in a few minutes. Let me tell you something about my guest. My guest is a man of action. He's a man that get things done. He's a producer. He's a director. He knows what he's doing. He works hard at what he does, and he cares about the kidney people like none other. My friend, my buddy, my confidant, Mr. Gordon. Mr. Gordon Skinner. We got him tonight on the show. Welcome, Mr. Gordon Skinner.
Hello, hello. Hey, Lisa, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a minute since I've seen you.
This is
It's
true.
been yes. We met at the Polycystic Kidney Disease Walk and the National Kidney Disease Walk years ago.
That's true. This is
Years
true.
ago.
hmm
Yeah, my family was there, and my nephew Juan Bravo, he was able to meet you as well, and his wife, and my sister, and we just took a liking and been tight ever since. How about that?
that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right.
Right. Yes.
Mm.
So I had you to come on the show because I've been trying to get you for years, right?
You've been trying to get me.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you've been got. You've been snagged and you have been got. I want the
Uh,
people to know the excellent, wonderful things that you're doing and how all of this connect. Okay. So
certainly.
you're a director and you're a producer. You're an independent producer with a studio, right?
Yeah, this is
And
true.
you do a number of things. You do documentaries, you do movies. Matter of fact, I did a documentary movie with you that went
Yes.
good. Woohoo! Right? So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about you and what you do, and we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes of this in a minute. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So I want to start by saying how humbled I am to actually be on your show. So thank you so much, Lisa. It's an honor and it is absolutely a blessing. Uh,
Thank you.
my company is Reframe Media, and Reframe Media is an independent New York-based production studio.
Mhm.
We specialize and focus on documentary or factual filmmaking or non-scripted filmmaking. And as a result, we tend to take on those subjects that are a little outside of the mainstream, or certainly those that might be deemed controversial because they aren't adhering to, the type of big pharma mandate or focal point where we're focused on the individual and empowering the individual to the best of our abilities.
Yet you are doing that. Yes, you are. That's very, very true.
Thank you.
I know when you came to me, you came and took dealt with my life from different point of views. You filmed me in my household. You filmed me with my husband. You filmed me. I mean anything when I was volunteering or out in the street doing a kidney aware business. out at a school. You came there. We took pictures. We filmed. You came when I lived in a house. You came when I lived in an apartment. You came before when my husband was alive. You came after he passed. You know, you and your young lady, you just did excellent work to get the
Thank you.
story out there, because kidney patients suffer a lot of things, and some stuff go unnoticed. Sometimes the disease itself or the stuff go unnoticed, but you shed a lot of light with your film. And I know a lot of places didn't want to be bothered with you or didn't want to see you, or, you know, I couldn't understand it, because you know, I was talking to some of the workers, and I said, oh no, he's just coming to film me how it looks on dialysis and this. Oh no, you can't come in here. And I'm like, but why? You know, what's the big deal? You know, if you're doing everything right, I don't see why you need, is there a problem? But, you know, because I've been filmed before on the
Mhm.
machine more than once.
Mhm.
So why was they wouldn't let you film me? I never got that. So,
Mhm.
but I'm glad you was a big enough wolf, you know, to handle your business. You know what I mean? And still, you know, pursue things, because you filmed a lot of us. I've heard some of my friends told me you filmed them as well. So
Yes.
I just you getting our story out there. So tell us a little bit, what is it, you know, so I'm not just blabbing.
Oh, well, certainly. And we should also, need we not forget that you too have shown up, not just, on all the work that you're doing, but anytime we held a private screening, whether it is, at a restaurant in the
Oh
village, or
yeah,
at the public theater, with the Under the Radar film, festival that you came and you was part of the panel. So you have been responding, you have been counterpointing and really showing up. And so that's
thank
been,
you.
truly, truly, and when I say this, it's not so much just my perspective, but your contributions, your participation has been affecting so many people that are not even part of the dialysis or the renal community. So I
Wow.
think that yeah, that's really huge. It's really important, and it should not be forgotten. I mean, one of the things, and I'll go into the film itself in a second, but one of the things I wanted to share, I thought that you were aware of this, but when we did the Under the Radar festival at the Public Theater, and we participated, we attempted to show a portion of the film, and we had this talk back. There were two young Black men that were 21, 22 years old, and they said
Yeah.
that uh, and they came up to us after the talk back, and they explained that as a result of listening to what you had to say, what Jimmy Briggs had to say, that they
Wow.
were going the very next day and registering or signing up to actually be kidney donors.
No. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh my God. Oh my
yeah,
God. Oh wow.
and
That's
and
heavy.
that is, yeah, it's so profound because, as you know, not very, our the donor list isn't represented to the degree that it really should be by
Yeah.
communities of color. So we don't have a lot of African American donors, to begin with, and
Hmm.
then to have two that
Yeah.
were young men, determined that the
That's
very next
beautiful.
day they're signing up. That was just
Wow.
tremendous. That was tremendous.
Wow.
But so excuse me. So sorry for digressing there for a moment. So the film that I've been making for the past 9 years is called Blood Money: Patients for Sale, and the film looks at the unjust enrichment by for-profit dialysis providers at the expense of the patient and the American taxpayer. And while that is the arc of the film, I should hasten to add that the film is also showing those individuals like yourself, Lisa, who have been making positive contributions to changing the lives of dialysis patients, to
Mm.
encouraging them not only in terms of how to be compliant while on dialysis, also being an advocate for patients who are experiencing things that are not that are adversarial to their health and wellness as human beings first and foremost, and also helping profile not only institutions but also educate so that you actually understand not only what it is to be compliant, but also how to register for a transplant. So really
Wow.
looking at a wide net, but really tunneling in on those positive and those things that are not positive about the experience and the realities of being on dialysis.
Yeah, because a lot of people feel they can't live with this. I mean, I've talked to many people and patients that died because they wouldn't either give dialysis a chance, or they didn't know anything educationally about it, or, they just didn't know anything and they gave up. And I like pleaded with them, give it a chance or at least try. If it doesn't
Mhm.
change your life, it should. And it usually would, you know what I mean? It would change your life. If the blood is clean, you think a little better. You feel a little better. You throw up a little less. Your skin
Mhm.
color improves some. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Right.
Those things that happen to you when your kidneys start failing. So, you try to talk to the family. You try to, you just try to bring them in a little bit. So I'm glad that your film being out there, would help as well, and not
Mhm.
just it takes a village. It takes all of us. So this
Mhm.
network that Mr. Steve and them have, and your film, and the Lisa Baxter Show, when I had it on YouTube and cable, all of that plays a part, and everybody that's on this network plays a part in getting this thing out there. I just hope more
Right.
people would watch it and share it, and let people know. Blow it up, blow it all the way up.
Right.
I don't need a
Yes.
bomb, so blow it up though,
Right.
So, but
Absolutely.
that's one of your projects, your biggest projects, and what else I want to say? That's one of your biggest projects. But I mean, before you started the film, what dragged you into our situation, you and our kidney family now? So, what brought you into the family, into the fold of the dialysis and transplant people? What brought you
Well,
in?
so I had made a film earlier, right before this particular project, or in terms of the scope as well as the length of the film. Uh, excuse me. So this, Blood Money is a feature length documentary, meaning that it will be 90 minutes for theatrical release, and it will be,
Mm,
above 60, ideally in the same
wow,
range of 90 minutes for broadcast release. And prior to, embarking on Blood Money, I had made a film called Lost Innocents, Child Soldiers at War, and
wow,
that particular film profiled child soldiers in 4 different countries around the world, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Colombia, Sri Lanka, and Kashmir.
wow.
Uh, and the intent on that was to really not look at, a macabre march down the tragic lives of these children, but to really look at how these particular children, first off, that the issue of child soldiers was and is a pandemic of epic proportion, and two, to
Yeah,
look at how some of these children have actually reclaimed their lives, have reclaimed their humanity,
wow.
and and so that in and of itself was an
Beautiful.
empowering conversation, especially because at the time when I started making this film, which was 2005, in many places they weren't referred to as child soldiers; they were referred to as insurgents,
Mm,
and that was done so as to make those quote unquote liberal Americans, for it to be more palpable for them. So that
mm,
if you're reading the New York Times and you see that the first American killed in Afghanistan was killed by a 13-year-old who
wow.
considered himself a child soldier, then it's, well, the typical response would be, well, wait a second, why are they killing our young American boys who are going over to these countries to help these people? What's wrong? Didn't we give $1 to the American Red Cross? How could they do this? Not
Wow.
recognizing that we are culpable. We help destabilize these governments. Keeping these governments in a de facto war state helps us when we're trying to extract natural resources out of a rich continent such as Africa, and out of these unbelievably rich and wealthy natural, full with natural resources countries like the Congo. It's in America's interest if there is a civil war or if there's a destabilized government, because then we can get these natural resources at a fraction of what we would be paying to a European country or any
Mm,
other country that would have these types of resources. So we're making that film,
right.
and my colleague, the person who had written a seminal work called, his name is Jimmy Briggs, who's the author. Uh, After making this film, he had embarked on creating an organization called Man Up, and that organization, its mission was to address men and gender violence. And Jimmy then subsequently won the quote unquote GQ Man of the Year award. And while he was in, so while he was in DC, doing a speaking tour, he suffered his second heart attack. We have to, understand that Jimmy at the time was 42. He had no he didn't smoke, he didn't drink, he didn't have any pre-existing conditions, or lifestyles that would even warrant him having, cardiac disease at that age. And
did the heart problem, this heart problem that he had, did it cause any problems with his kidneys?
That's where I'm going.
Okay. I ain't mad at you. Come on.
Let's go. So he decided, because it was, in his words, mild, that was a Tuesday, that he would wait and see his cardiologist when he got back to New York that following Monday. And on Saturday, as he headed back to New York, he wasn't feeling well. Went to Doctor's Hospital in DC, where they asked him, "How did you get here?" He said, "Well, I walked in." And they said, "Well, you don't walk anywhere with a blood pressure of 240.
Wow.
We're admitting you." Yeah, we're admitting you. And after they admitted him, they then came to him and explained, you have complete renal shutdown. We're starting you on dialysis. Then, what we're going to do is putting you through dialysis, putting you on a kidney transplant list. And as time progresses, once you're successful and you receive a kidney transplant and that is working out, then we'll go about getting you a new heart. Okay. And, long and the short, Jimmy, I found out I was able to engage my network of friends who are, physicians. We got him to Mount Sinai, and he and I spoke about, his experience, his plight. And I then said, yes, I will. I'm interested. It's not a pity party. I'm not going to be profiling you just because you're going through this, but I suspect that there is something, overarching, something much larger than what is known. Because I didn't know about dialysis per se.
So this drove you to it. This right here drove you to it. It pushed you right into it. Mm-hmm. All right.
Kicking and screaming.
All right. Well, well, that's something that would, I guess, because he's a good friend and somebody that you work with and know, it can hit home from any direction. You know what I mean? That will make you run for this cause. That will make you stand up for it, fight for it, push for it. So I'm glad you had did that. Now, so that drove you to it. You got it. So what did you do to start the film? Because we don't have that much, But what did you do to start the film? So this is what causes you to do it.
So I then started following him, and going to the dialysis unit with him. I established a relationship which is ongoing with Mount Sinai, subsequently with an institution that you had told me about, that I had known about for a while, but the Rogerson Institute is now a strategic partner to some extent. And we just started, thank you. And so we just started following, and even though I started following it, it was still very cursory. I didn't know the depth or the breadth and scope of a lot of the draconian practices that are set upon on patients by these providers. I didn't, it's like the Matrix. I didn't, I was offered the blue or the red pill. And once I took, and I actually took them both. And then once I took them,
you got joked.
Thank you very much. I do. But after I took the pill, reality became a blur, or at least the reality that I was living in. And I started really understanding and appreciating, what was happening to, dialysis patients across the board, and how these things were, how individuals were, no longer deemed as human beings, but deemed as a billing opportunity.
Well, this, I'm glad that, I'm sorry this happened to him, but I'm glad it was something that you took notice with and that you ran with it. If you didn't do that, I wouldn't have met you. All right. And we wouldn't be here right now. So I'm glad for that. Now, what would you say to somebody that either want their story told, because I don't know if you're still taking on any projects, because maybe you want to say, your website or anything like that, if they want to start their own company, or you to interview them, or anything like that, or any advice that you have for the future producers out there, or the dialysis patient, that, say something about how they could, I guess they definitely got to go to film school or learn something about film or directing or something. They just can't jump up, but give us a little something, something, a little something, something.
Well, I mean, it's a tall order. But one thing I need to debunk is the notion that you necessarily have to go to film school. I mean, my education was not in a standardized film school. I fortunately had a lot of different experiences, and I was on the ground. But you have to, one, watch as much film as possible, and then and then pick up your phone, pick up your camera, and just start shooting. The other main thing is that, when you start filming, the question should always be foremost in your mind is, who is this for? Is this a film for me? Well, that's fine if that's what you want to do. But if you're trying to get it out and have an affect on people, need to be a little more panoramic and not settle with, oh, this looks good to me, but really start checking in with either the individuals that you are profiling or showing it to people and having them share their perspective, their opinions about what it is that they're watching. We also have to recognize, we also have to recognize that now, because we're operating with cell phones, and there's your Netflix and everything is on your cell phone, and so the viewing time is no longer 60 minutes on broadcast or 90 minutes in a movie theater. It's down to 30 seconds that a person will quickly look, and if they're not interested, then they're going to turn away and they're going to go to the next program. So we really have to make sure that we're creating the type of content that catches, not sensationalizes, but catches somebody, pulls out the humanity, and then we have to respect an audience for why they're going to spend that amount of time viewing whatever it is that we're attempting to show and convey.
Okay, like we're trying to do now. We want it to be interesting. We want them to learn something. We want them to take something away from it. That's very true. That's very true. So is there anybody?
But the difference is that you're hang on. Let's just be clear. There's a difference here. You're not trying to do it. You're doing it. Others may talk about it and may be considering it. You're actually doing it. So that's why you're a filmmaker, not because you talk about it, but because you make films. You're making this program. You are a broadcaster. Okay?
Oh, wow. Woo. Woo. Urban. Yes. Urban media, urban health media. Yes. So, is there anybody out there that you would like to give a shout out to?
Well, I mean, wow, lots. I mean, I want to definitely give a shout out to Tamisha Smith, who is actually launching the Dunbar Center for Health and Wellness, which is the flagship is in Newark, New Jersey, and it's a 24-hour patient-centric dialysis center.
I spoke to her.
Yeah. So gotta give
trying to get on
to Tamisha.
Yeah.
Good. Well, just keep doing it. She'll get there. Definitely want to give a shout out to Dr. Barry Smith of the Rogerson Institute.
Oh, my God. That's my guy, Barry. Yes.
I mean, the work that they're doing. Yeah, the work that they're doing, not just because their offices are on, 70th and York Avenue, is not what they're doing. They're actually out changing the lives of individuals out in Brownsville.
They really are. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and preventative, which is also huge.
I work with them. Yeah. I'm a health advocate. Yeah. Ambassador.
And I'll give one more shout out, and that is to Dr. Robert Pauly, who is one of the leading nephrologists at the University of Alberta in Canada. And the importance here is that Canada has been doing something that I've mentioned this twice at two different huge nephrology symposiums, and the nephrologists and from the American Society of Nephrologists looked at me like I was talking out of the side of my neck when I explained that in Canada what they do, and this might might want to champion, but certainly have your audience who are dialysis patients, do it. The moment that an individual is diagnosed with ESRD, Okay. Uh, and the determination as that patient, that person needs to go on dialysis. What happens at the University of Alberta and other dialysis clinics in Canada is
Yeah.
they sit the patient down with other current dialysis patients so that they can then have the conversation so an individual understands, what it is to be compliant, what it is to be able to create the environment where you're going to have a
Yeah.
positive uh, dialysis session. And happens here in the U.S. and I would imagine other places as well, is
Yeah.
that you're diagnosed with
Some hospitals in New York were doing that as well. I mean, I was
yeah,
with one of them, but it didn't fly off the ground fast enough. But they started trying to get input from patients because, patients begot patients is a little better. You know what I mean? Somebody that's
yeah.
dealing with the same thing understand each other a little more and a little better,
Well, it's
But
also because when you are diagnosed with end-stage renal disease and are told that you have to go on dialysis, your vision seems to concave. The walls close in, and
yeah.
it's almost like I suspect if you're diagnosed with cancer, and while your physician will be explaining all of these different things that you will be able to do to have, hopefully live a longer life,
Yeah.
you can't hear it because
No, you
it's
can't.
natural,
No,
right?
you
And
can't. Some of
so
it flies over your head. You don't even know what he's saying. It's like wah 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 wah
exactly,
wah, like the Peanuts gang.
exactly,
Like like
exactly.
the Peanuts gang. Now, what is your next project? Because I'm about to end the show. What is your next project?
Okay, so I'm doing a project on intergenerational work, a seminal
Mm,
work by Elders Share the Arts and the National Center for Creative Aging. And so we're looking at the National for how to create creative aging. So how senior citizens are being able to not only engage with themselves, but also with younger people to, stop the depression, which is the leading cause of death in senior citizens, and to
mm.
create a much better and a more robust life as they move into their older years.
Wow. Your heart is big. You hear me? Your heart is big. You went from the child soldier to the dialysis patient, now to the elderly. I ain't mad at you. I'm very much proud of you. I am so glad you on this
Thank you,
show.
man.
You keep doing the good work. We're going to keep working together. This ain't the last you hear of me. I know it ain't the last I hear you. So I just wanted to let you know that I'm from the bottom of my heart. I thank you for being on it. I thank you for working so hard. Continue the good work. And what I would like to
Thank you.
even say to the people out there, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you for caring enough to hear something about kidneys or dialysis or anything that's going on in our lives, all of our lives. Okay. So no matter what sickness or illness you have, whatever reason that made you come in, come back on in next week, because I'm going to see you next week. Lisa's showing you a whole lot of love. The whole network is. All right. So
Awesome.
be well. Thank you, Gordon, again.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, lady.
everybody, again. And blessings. Good night. Thank you so much.